Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here this evening for this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Before we get started, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So everybody please rise. And Councilman Lombardi, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Six, that everyone remain standing for a moment of silence to remember those men and women, police officers and military personnel who are serving us around the world and at home, who provide us with the blanket of freedom and security that we live under each and every day.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, once again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here. Thank you at home for watching this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Today's date is Wednesday, October 7th, 2020. And prior to coming out here this evening for the public portion of the meeting, we met in executive session with our counsel, Greg Folchetti, to discuss a litigation matter. And we started that at 6:30. So what we have on the meeting agenda tonight is the first item that we have is a public hearing on a proposed local law amending Chapter 147 of the Town Code of the Town of Carmel entitled Vehicles and Traffic. And by the way, for the record, all town board members are present with us this evening, as is Mary Ann Maxwell, our town comptroller, and Greg Folchetti, Carmel Town Council. So before we, as we go into that, this is regards to the Route 6 corridor from McMahon Place, which is just north of the Town Hall at Croton Falls Road, up to Route 6 and East Lake Boulevard, where the Shell station is at that intersection. So this is the Route 6 corridor that we're looking at, that on the recommendation of Police Chief Mike Kazari, who has since retired, and Lieutenant John Dearman, who's here with us tonight as the commanding officer, and also the Putnam County Traffic Safety Board, they looked at this stretch of Route 6 as being problematic, where vehicles are parking on the shoulder of the road, obstructing the view of ingresses and egresses to what is known as Restaurant Row along Route 6 here. And there has been accidents along this corridor of Route 6 that the contributing factors were obstructed view or limited by people either entering, it's mostly exiting one of the restaurants along the Route 6 corridor. So it is a problem with obstructed view if cars are parked right up to the entrances and exits. I'm sure some of you have noticed that when the restaurants were busy, that they were parked up and down the shoulders of Route 6, and it became a problem. So my office had been receiving complaints about it, inquiring as to what can be done to try to limit that or prohibit parking right up to the entrances and exits of those restaurants. And Chief Kazari at the time did receive calls as well, and I know Lieutenant Dearman also received calls from the public about this condition along Route 6 and if the town can address it. So we began looking at it in 2018. Then Chief Kazari and myself and Lieutenant Dearman met to discuss it, and what was recommended is that if the DOT agreed with us, because Route 6 is a state road, so the New York State DOT would have to approve any plan that we may have for prohibiting parking on the shoulder of Route 6. So we did send letters to the New York State DOT with respect to what we would like to create over there for no parking zones, and they agreed with the town of Carmel, and they gave us permission to go ahead and designate no parking areas, not along both the entire length of the Route 6 shoulders, but in areas that we would identify as problem areas that we should prohibit parking. Not the entire length of the shoulder, but 30 feet before the ingress and 30 feet before the egress. So 30 feet on both sides of the entrances and exits would be sufficient to allow for people pulling out to actually see oncoming traffic and their view not be obstructed by a car parked right on top of the entrance and exit. So that's what really precipitated this. That's why we're here tonight. It took some time for this plan, if you will, to be developed, and we did develop a plan As I said, the Putnam County Traffic Safety Board agrees that the town should do this, and as well as the police department is in agreement that parking should be prohibited at identified locations along Route 6. So the public hearing tonight is for the public to weigh in on this, if you would like to weigh in on it with respect to where the no parking zones may be. But we do have descriptions here of the locations along the Route 6 corridor where the no parking signs would be posted along that stretch of Route 6. So this was done by, the locations were identified by the police department. Lieutenant Dearman, I have him here tonight. I asked him to be here in the event that there were any questions that the public may have with respect to what we're proposing to do to the Route 6 corridor for no parking. So I just want to explain a little bit why we're here and the history behind this. As I said, there were some accidents, and there was one tragic fatality that did occur during that Route 6 corridor years back, and something needed to be done because it's been a problem. And I'm sure there's some of you here that have noticed that over the years and would agree that this is probably a smart thing to do in order to, for public safety, public health and safety, for the patrons of those establishments. So before we get started with that, I do need our town clerk, Ann Spofford, to read the notice of this public hearing for tonight. Ann, would you please read that notice?
Notice is hereby given that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel will conduct a public hearing at the Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue, Mahopac, New York, 10541, on Wednesday, October 7, 2020, at 7 o'clock p.m., or as soon thereafter that evening as possible, on a proposed local law amending Chapter 147 of the Code of the Town of Carmel, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, by amending certain schedules therein as follows. Proposed local law, if adopted tonight, it would be number 2 of the year 2020, a local law amending Chapter 147 of the Town Code of the Town of Carmel, entitled Vehicles and Traffic. Section 1, this local law shall be known as 2020 Amendments to Chapter 147, entitled Vehicle and Traffic. Section 2, Chapter 147 of the Town Code of the Town of Carmel, Section 147-51, Schedule 10, Parking Prohibited at All Times, is hereby amended to add the following street, road locations set forth herein. In accordance with the provision of Section 147-19, no person shall park a vehicle at any time upon any of the following described streets or parts of streets. The name of the street would be Route 6. The side is both sides. The location is between East Lake Boulevard and McMahon Place.
Section 3, Home Rule. Nothing in this local law is intended or shall be construed to limit the home rule authority of the town under state law, to limit the town's discretion in setting fees and charges in connection with any applications required town approval. Number 4, severability. If in any part or provision of this local law or application thereof, to any person or circumstances shall be adjudicated invalid by any court of competent jurisdiction, such judgment shall be confined in its operation to the part or provision or application directly involved in the controversy in which the judgment shall have been rendered, and shall not affect or impair the validity of the remainder of the local law or the application thereof to other persons or circumstances. And the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby declares they would have passed this local law or have been remanded thereof had such invalid application or invalid provision be apparent.
Thank you.
Section 5, effective date. This local law shall take place, strike that. This local law shall take effect immediately upon filing in the office of the Secretary of State in accordance with Section 27 of the Municipal Home Rule Law. At said public hearing, all interested persons shall be heard on the subject thereof. The Town Board will make every effort to assure that the public hearing is accessible to persons with disability. Anyone requiring special assistance and/or reasonable accommodations should contact the Town Clerk by order of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel and Spofford Town Clerk.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for the reading of the notice of public hearing, Ann and Frank. So at this time, I need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so moved. Open by Dominic. That one mic. Opened by Councilman Lombardi, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the public hearing is open on this particular local law. Is there any members of the public that would like to come up and comment? This is the public hearing tonight where you can comment on the proposed amendment to the V&T code, the local law of the town of Carmel on this one. Anyone? Okay.
There being no participants, I move to close the public hearing on this matter.
Okay, all right, so
Second.
Councilman Lombardi made a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Do I have a second? Second by Councilwoman McDonough. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so Resolution 1A, this is to consider resolution making a secret determination in regard to the proposed local law, and it would be number 2, Ann?
Yep.
Yeah.
Local law number 2 of the year 2020, enacted Chapter 147 of Code of the Town of Carmel, titled Vehicles and Traffic. So Resolution 1A, Councilman Shannon, would you read that, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby determines that the local law number 2, amending Chapter 147 of the Town Code of the Town of Carmel, entitled Vehicle and Traffic, is a Type 2 action under Secor NYCCR Section 617.5 sub C, sub 27, and no further review is necessary. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Borelli?
Council,
Yes. Councilman Schneider?
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Who gave me this resolution?
Who gave it to me?
Oh, yeah.
They're all.
Oops.
Well,
Are they all?
look at them.
Yeah,
All of them?
thank you.
No, just this one.
All
Is it
right,
only this one?
Yeah,
it's just the first one.
yeah.
All right, now I'm ready. Councilman Channel?
Yes.
Councilman Borelli? Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried, thanks.
I'm going to frame that one.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
That's local law of 2019.
Number,
Yeah. Okay,
okay.
all right. So, all right, now 1B is to consider a motion to enact the law. Do I have a motion to enact it?
So moved.
Second.
As noticed and
As
published.
noticed.
Noticed and published by
As
the town
noticed and
clerk.
published by the town clerk.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Lombardi, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough to enact the law. Roll call vote.
Councilman Channel?
Yes.
Councilman Borelli? Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you. So it's only those areas along Route 6 that will be posted. There'll be signs posted, no parking anytime between arrows. Those are the ones that are enforceable. So if the entire length of the Route 6 on both sides from McMahon to Route 6, under this local law, was prohibited parking, but it's only enforceable where the signs are going to be put up. All right, so it'll be either we're going to have both the signs and or pavement markings, or both. So that's to be determined. But so wherever those signs are, it's 30 feet on each side of the entrance and exit where it'll be prohibited parking. Okay, thank you. Okay, so with that out of the way, tonight is my annual budget message for 2021. This is for the spending plan that is tentative right now because it goes to the full town board for consideration. But Mary Ann Maxwell, the comptroller, and I have been working on this along with my staff and her staff in her office. It's got to be about a month and a half now, where we put together what we feel is a very responsible budget. The town spending, general and highway spending, has actually decreased from 20 to 21 by about $500,000. So it was lowered. The spending was lowered for next year from the town. So that's good news that spending has gone down. But you'll hear that in Mary Ann's presentation tonight. She's going to do a comprehensive budget presentation of what we put together. And you'll understand and you'll hear that further. But that's great news that it's going the other way. So the townwide tax rate is actually minus 3.75%. So it's below, some people zero, it's below zero, it went down. So that's really good news as well. But we'll get into that a little bit later on in Mary Ann's presentation. So, so at this time, I'm going to start by reading my budget message. I prepare one every year. This is my 12th one. So just bear with me. It's almost 2 pages long, but there's a lot that I wanted to cover in this. Yeah, it's a lot of important information that I want you all to hear. But the details, the actual dollars, will be in Mary Ann's presentation when she moves on to that after I'm finished. So, board, everybody has the message? Okay. All right. So, the supervisor's fiscal year 2021 tentative budget message. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the town board, residents, and property owners of the town of Carmel. As supervisor and chief financial officer of the town of Carmel, I am pleased to present my 12th tentative operating budget for the town of Carmel for fiscal year ending 2021. Pursuant to New York State Town Law, Section 106, I present the 2021 tentative budget for your consideration. I have taken a conservative approach to expenditure allocations, using previous actuals as a baseline for the costs. In addition, fuel, energy, and other utility costs, contractual expenses, and debt service payments were analyzed. The town also saw an increase in mandated employee benefit costs, such as health insurance, retirement, and pension plans. We have incorporated realistic revenue budgeting as a means of balancing the 2021 tentative budget. What I mean by that, one-shot budget revenues are just that. They're one-shot budget revenues, and they weren't considered in this budget. Realistic revenue was considered in this budget. As in previous years, the town must comply with the New York State tax cap, which limits a local government's overall growth in the property tax levy to 2% over the prior year's levy, or the rate of inflation, whichever is less. The 2021 tentative budget falls within the New York State mandated cap for 2021. So we're under the New York State cap. The 2021 allowable levy growth factor is 1.56%. In March of this year, the coronavirus pandemic impacted our region. Many challenges faced each and every one of us. Clearly, we were dealing with a dangerous and unprecedented health crisis. To protect the residents and employees, the town took swift action in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, declaring an emergency early on. The town hall remained open during the statewide shutdown, and I felt, and this board felt, it was important that town hall provide the essential services that the residents of the town of Carmel needed during the shutdown. To residents and business owners, town services were also available online, by phone, or in person at designated safe locations in the town hall during the state-mandated shutdown. As you recall, many of our employees were working from home. We had to reduce our staff by 50%, sending half of them home, but many of our managers and elected officials were here the entire time during the New York State shutdown, providing those essential services to you, the residents. I am pleased to announce that this past September, after a review of the town's finances by Moody's Investment Services, the town once again had its excellent AA1 credit rating reaffirmed by Moody's. It's very important that we maintain our AA1 credit rating, because when we borrow money for capital projects, the interest that we pay on that borrowed money is very, very low. We did a bond sale this year, and I believe one of the bond sales was 0.6 million, one of them. The second one was 1.4. 1.56. So the interest rate is very low for the town of Carmel. We borrow money only because we have an excellent financial rating, AA1 from Moody's, and that's a credit to our excellent controller, Mary Ann Maxwell, right here. She does a wonderful job, Mary Ann. In May of this year, the town board offered a retirement incentive to uniformed members of the town of Carmel Police Department. I am pleased to report that 4 members of the police force with 20-plus years of service accepted the terms of the incentive, retiring from the force, resulting in a significant savings to the taxpayers. So the board discussed the retirement incentive on how we can creatively find ways to reduce our spending, and one of them was offering a retirement incentive to the police officers, and 4 of them took it. It resulted in a very, very significant savings to the taxpayers. So that was a smart move by the town board, and the 4 officers took it. We were very pleased with that. The town is in the midst of a major infrastructure improvements and upgrades in the hamlet of Carmel. Those residents that reside within Carmel Water District Number 2 will benefit greatly with improved water quality once the improvement projects are completed. In addition, the town has begun work on a new comprehensive plan, also known as the master plan, and are concurrently looking at the town code as well. That's underway. Susie's spearheading that, and we're about 9 months, a little over 9 months into that, and that's progressing along very well. It's to the point now where you, the taxpayers, will be filling out a survey on SurveyMonkey, and it's a survey that went out just recently within the last week or so. Susie's going to talk about that. It's very important that you give us your feedback on what you want the town of Carmel to look like 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years from now. That's what the master plan does. It's a comprehensive plan, which is a blueprint for the town. So it's important that you give us your feedback and take that survey, please. We've been encouraging all the residents to take it. Up in Carmel Water, too, just real quick, we're looking at a new water treatment plant for the residents in the hamlet of Carmel. The plant they have now is a diatomaceous earth plant. It's 40 years old, and it's time for that plant to be upgraded, that plant. They're also relining the mains that are very old, and we're also rehabbing and refurbishing some of the storage tanks. So that's a significant cost, but that's moving forward and getting back to the AA1 bond rating. So when we borrow money for those projects in the hamlet of Carmel, the interest rate is going to be very low, and it's going to be less costly. It's going to be very costly for them, but less costly because of the interest rate that we're going to be getting on our borrowed money. On June 12th of 2020, Governor Cuomo signed an executive order, number 203, New York State Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative. I'm sure you've all heard about this, mandating all municipalities which have a police force to perform a comprehensive review of current police force policies, procedures, and practices. In addition, police officers under the executive order must also receive extensive in-service training. The cost to the taxpayers to comply with the governor's executive order, number 203, will be approximately $100,000. And that covers the cost of consultants and training. So this is another unfunded mandate that came down from the governor's office with this executive order. Somebody has to pay for it. The state's not funding it, so the taxpayers have to pay for it. But we're required under the executive order for our officers to receive additional training and also to review our practices, our policies, and our procedures. And we're hiring a consultant firm to assist us in that. So it's costly, but we're required to do it. We're mandated to do it, and it's unfunded by the state. This isn't unusual. The state's done this in the past, and they're going to continue to do it. They're going to force things on the local municipalities and say you must do it, you must adhere to it, but they're not paying for it. You have to pay for it. So this has, the final plan has to be implemented by April 1st of 2021. So we have to adopt the plan and send it to the state. The board has to approve it by resolution, and I have to sign off on it by April 1st of next year. So we're working on it. Lieutenant Dearman is very much involved in that. My tentative fiscal year 2021 budget is subject to review and amendments made by the Carmel Town Board. Changes to the tentative budget may be made by the board, and a preliminary budget will be adopted on October 14th of 2020. That's a preliminary budget. A public hearing on the final budget will be held on November 4th, 2020, and a final townwide fiscal year 2021 budget must be voted on and adopted on or before November 20th of 2020. So we have some time. The board has some time to review the budget, and they're free now, once I submit the budget, to make any changes to it that they would like to change, either up or down. So they have the budget now, and I'll be part of that review as well. It's the entire town board. So the total townwide tax increase for 2021, for fiscal year 2021 in the tentative budget reflects a 3.7% decrease in townwide spending. That's what I was speaking about earlier, of the tax rate. Our Town Comptroller, Mary Ann Maxwell, will now present to you fiscal year 2021 Town of Carmel Supervisor's tentative budget. This presentation will provide you with an in-depth review of the town's finances, identifying projected expenditures and revenues for fiscal year 2021. In closing, my sincere thanks to Town Comptroller Mary Ann Maxwell. her office staff and the Controller's office, Michelle T. and Michelle R. They were very much involved in this. My office staff, Ann and Joanna Torelli, along with other elected officials, department heads, and managers for their diligence and assistance during the preparation of my tentative fiscal year 2021 budget. Respectfully submitted the 7th day of October 2020, Kenneth Schmidt, Supervisor, Town of Carmel. So, sorry, it was very lengthy, but there was a lot that I wanted to cover and share with the taxpayers, with the public. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our Comptroller, Marion Maxwell. She's going to bring you through the Town of Carmel 2021 tentative budget in a PowerPoint.
There are copies up there? I don't
Yeah,
know if
there's
there's
copies
up
here.
here,
If
but
anybody
if
wants
you
to follow, Mary
Take
Ann,
one.
come on up. We'll give you a couple minutes to come up and get it if you'd like it. Or I'll hand some of them out. Bill? You want to take this? All right. Anybody else on that side? Jim? Want to follow along? It's up to you. I do, yeah. Mary, do you need the lights?
Sure.
Touch the front lights?
Yeah, I guess so. That's fine.
Good?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Do you see Jim?
okay.
Huh? We dance now? No.
Okay. All right, good evening. It's my pleasure to discuss the Town of Carmel 2021 tentative budget. It's not on? Okay.
Oh, did you switch mics? Yeah. You did?
Yeah, that's better? Okay. Okay. In 2011, the New York State Office of the State Comptroller established a 2% real property tax cap law. With some exceptions, this law limits the amount local governments and school districts can increase property taxes by the lesser of 2% or the rate of inflation. The allowable tax levy growth imposed by New York State Comptroller's Office for the 2021 budget is 1.56%, which is the current rate of inflation factor for 2021. For the Town of Carmel, townwide and special districts, this equates to a maximum allowable tax levy increase of a little over $845,000. So since 2012, the first 3 years of the property tax cap law, we did have to override the tax cap for 2012, 13, and 14. 2015, we were able to stay within the tax cap, and 2016 and so on. 2019 and 20, it did go back up to 2%, but down in 2016 and 7, it did get as low as 0.673% and 0.68%. So we were very limited at that time to raise the levy in the townwide and special districts. So in 2021, it is back up to 1.56%, but it is lower than 2%. So the 2021 tentative budget, the overall tax levy increase is $835,000. The general fund levy is decreasing. The highway fund levy is increasing slightly. The ambulance and fire is increasing. Garbage districts are increasing due to a contract that was signed late 2019. Water districts are increasing, including debt funds. Sewer districts and debt funds are decreasing. So the 2021 budget is under the tax cap by a little over $9,000. The property tax levy is calculated by taking the town's total annual expenditures less any revenues and/or appropriated fund balance. The annual tax rate is determined by dividing the total amount of the property tax levy by the total assessed value of a town or special district. The townwide 100% equalized assessed value used for the 2021 budget is a little over $5 billion, an increase of $181 million from the prior year equalized assessed value. An increase in the assessed value from one year to the next may result in a decrease in the tax rate if the levy decreased or remained unchanged. This is just a history of the assessed value from 2017 to 2021. 2017 was the first year that we became 100% equalized. So the assessed value in 2017 was approximately 4.5 billion. And as I just said, 2021, the assessed value is a little over 5 billion. So the 2021 budget, general and highway, the total budget is a little over $30 million. We subtract the revenues, which is a little under 6 million, and we're using fund balances of 110,000. So the property tax levy for the 2021 budget is $24.4 million, which is a decrease from the prior year of 33,874. So you take your property tax levy and then divide that by your assessed value of $5.012 billion, and you get your tax rate of 4.87. So your annual tax rate for 2021 is decreasing, as Supervisor Schmidt mentioned earlier, by 3.75%. This is just of the annual tax rate over the past 5 years. 2017 and 18, it was 4.93. 2019 went up to 5.01. Last year was, or this year actually, 2020 was 5.06, and the 2021 tax rate for townwide general highway is 4.87. This is just a history over the last 10 years to show the increase and decrease. As I mentioned earlier, 2012, 13, and 14, we did have to override the tax cap because the tax rate increase from one year to the next was very high. And then 2015, 16, and so on, we've been able to stay within the tax cap. So a property owner assessed at $370,000 would pay approximately $1,802 per year, which is a $70 decrease from the prior year if the assessed value were the same. This assessed value reflects the current equalization rate of 100%. $2,135,000 is budgeted in the 2021 annual townwide budget for debt obligations. Of the $30.5 million in townwide expenditures, approximately $21.9 million is budgeted for 2021 for employee compensation and benefit cost. This represents a percentage of approximately 72% of the total expenditures. So if you're looking at the entire townwide budget, 28% is other expenses, and 72% of the townwide budget represents, covering the employee expenses, which includes annual salary, overtime, other compensation costs, pension costs, health insurance, workers' comp, and FICA, Medicare, and MTA tax. So that's a big part of the budget is employees and salaries and expenses, benefits. This shows our townwide fund equity over the last 10 years. In 2011, it was lower than $4 million, and over the years, we've been able to increase it. As Supervisor Schmidt mentioned earlier, we did have a AA1 bond rating was approved again this year, but back in I think it was around 2012, 2013, Moody's did put us on a negative outlook because our fund balance had decreased so much back in the 2011-12 years. So we're a little under, it's about a little under 12 million in year-end 2019. So
You see, one second, Mary.
Sure.
You see how it's grown from 2011 up to where we are now, almost $12 million.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's a significant amount of money that that we've put away into our fund balance, our reserves.
Correct.
And
Right.
one of the reasons that Moody's maintained our AA1 rating is because of that. That's one of the things they look at, is how healthy is the town financially, and what does the fund balance look like? Are you using your fund balance? In this case, we're not using it; we're increasing it. So
Yeah, and
it's steadily going up.
we've been able to establish fund balances for capital projects, and fund balances for equipment reserves over the years. So I think that was a plus for the Moody's, that we were able
Yeah.
to fund balance for retirement expense, so certiorari reserve, compensated absences. So we have several different reserves that are specialized for certain, are used for certain purposes. So it's not just like this $12 million is free to use. It's established for certain reasons. And that's what we use it for if we need it. For capital projects, like the property downtown, we were able to use, buy that out of the reserves, instead of, borrowing for it.
Yeah. And this is also a credit to Mary Ann in her hard work, her diligent work as the town controller and the town board. But Mary Ann had, recommended that we do certain things a different way back in 2011, and we did.
Mm-hmm.
We followed her guidance, and this is where we're at. So great job, Mary Ann.
Thank you. So I'm just going to go over some budget drivers and highlights. As I mentioned earlier, the employee benefit cost is a big part of our budget. NISHIP rates, which is the New York State Health Insurance Plan, rates decreased from 2019 to 2020 slightly. We don't know what the rates are going to be yet for 2021, but I did budget a 6 to 8% increase. That's usually what it is. It did go down last year, but I don't expect it to go down again this year. So I'm hoping that 6 to 8% is enough. Our pension contributions increased substantially. This is our New York State retirement plan. The Tier 4, which is your employee retirement system, which is everything other than police, it's our highway and our townwide employees, went from 16 to 18% for Tier 4 employees. Our police retirement expense went from 25 to 30.6%. So that 30.6% of an officer's salary is what the town has to contribute. And it's not just their salary, it's also including their overtime expense and other pays that they receive. So the newer employees that are coming in are tiers 5 and 6, and the town contributes a lot less because those employees have to contribute. So that's, as Supervisor Schmidt mentioned earlier, we did offer a retirement incentive for the police officers, and it is a substantial savings hiring a young, a tier 5 or 6 employee, because we pay less into their salary for a pension, and their salaries are a lot less. So that's why we see such a savings on that. So workers' comp, we have a 2-year contract with PERMA for 2020 and 2021. So we're expecting the cost to remain flat, depending on our experience, but it shouldn't increase that much. Salary expense for union employees, all unions are contractual through 2021. So they will see a 2 or 2.25% increase in their salaries. Police overtime for the 2021 budget is decreasing to $560,000 from $600,000, so it's decreasing $40,000. Mortgage tax revenue, 2020 actual revenue is approximately $959,000 year to date through September of 2020. So we're already exceeding our total annual budget for 2020 with our mortgage tax revenue. So we have seen a substantial increase in mortgage tax revenue in 2020. The annual budget as of right now for 2021 is $1,150,000. So we're increasing the mortgage tax revenue in 2021 by $200,000. So that helps us to not raise the taxes because we're able to increase the revenue to offset some of the expenses. Other revenues increase and decreases from prior year. Back in 2013, we negotiated with unions for the employees to contribute towards their health insurance. So we're increasing that by $10,000 for highway and general funds. Court fees and fines that were decreasing by $25,000. Building department fees are decreasing by $10,000. Cable franchise fees is $800,000 is budgeted in the 2021 budget. Parks and rec fees, $285,000 is budgeted in revenue. CHIPS highway funding, state aid is estimated to decrease by approximately 20%. So in the 2021 budget, we're budgeting $344,000 for CHIPS highway funding. Police lake patrol, state aid estimated at $30,000. Police reform training, as Supervisor Schmidt mentioned earlier, we do have to budget $100,000 in the 2021 budget for police reform training. Capital equipment projects budgeted from the reserve fund or other. Swan Cove improvements, where we have $170,000 budgeted, $50,000 in the 2021 budget, and we're carrying forward $120,000 from last year, from 2020. Capital improvements at Town Hall, we have $75,000 that we're carrying forward from this year's budget. Bathroom facility at Baldwin Meadows, also $75,000 is being carried forward. 2 marked and 1 unmarked police vehicle, we are budgeting in the 2021 budget. That's coming from the equipment reserve. New debt service, 2021 required debt payments for land acquisition, airport park, highway projects, water meter project, Carmel Water District number 2, certain park districts, water tank project, and Carmel Sewer District number 1. The total new money debt issued in the 2020 October ban was a little over $4.7 million. Our garbage districts increase, as I mentioned earlier. The contingent line, we had budgeted $150,000 partially to fund the new master plan and town code revisions. In the highway fund, the 2021 snow budget is a total of $1,814,000. This includes $700,000 for snow material expense and $350,000 for overtime expense. $150,000 is budgeted in capital machinery, increasing the capital reserve to $340,000. The snow reserve fund balance as of 12/31/2019 was $750,000. Due to the mild winter, January through March of 2020, we should be able to transfer money into the reserve depending on how the overtime costs are through December 2020. Carmel Water District number 2 will see a special district increase tax due to annual debt obligations. Most town water districts will see a special district tax increase due to annual debt obligations from capital projects for the water meter project and the water storage tank project. Carmel Sewer District number 4 will see a special district tax increase in the O&M contract with regard to emergencies and overtime operating expense. Technology upgrades, we budget annually to keep up with our technology townwide with computers in the offices, so we budgeted $70,000 in 2021 for that. This is just a pie chart to show the employee and retiree benefit cost. Our health insurance for employees and retirees is a little over $4 million. Retirement expense, I'm expecting to go up substantially in 2021. And our workers' comp has gone down since, I think it was over $1 million in 2016. Now it's down to, approximately $800,000. We've switched to PERMA this year. As I mentioned earlier, this does help keep our health benefits down because the employees are now contributing. We started this back in 2013, and in 2021, the employee contributions is a little over $350,000. It's about $370,000. Our mortgage tax revenue, as I mentioned earlier, has increased substantially in 2020. 2014, we were a little over $600,000, which was the lowest we've been, but it has increased over the past couple of years. 2020, we should hit at least $1.2 million. $1.15 million is budgeted in 2021. In the townwide budgeted revenues, the total revenues that we will collect is a little over $30.5 million. 80% of that is property taxes. So the revenues we do collect, mortgage tax revenue is 6%, so, state aid, but the biggest part of our revenues is property taxes, 80%. Of our expenditures, budgeted expenditures, $10.9 million is public safety, which includes police, traffic control, dog control, and code enforcement. So that's 35.8% of our budget. General government, which is town departments, is 6 million, so that's 19.8%. Recreation and culture is a little over 2 million, 6.5%. Debt service is 2.4 million. And our transportation and highway is 8.7 million, or 28.6% of our budget. This is just a sample tax bill for a taxpayer in the Mahopac Central School District. As you can see, 63% of the taxes that this taxpayer pays, and an assessed value for the town and county of $403,000 and $423,000 for school. So 63% of this property tax is school, and 15% is town, 8% is county, and 9% is water. In the Carmel Central School District's the same thing. This property taxpayer, the assessed value is $334,000 for townwide and $347,000 for school. 64% of the taxes is school. Town is 14%, county is 8%, and water and sewer is approximately 7% of this that they pay. And that's it. Sorry, that was a lot. Thank you. Any
Very
questions?
in-depth, very comprehensive, and it's explained very well. So, you have a very responsible budget. Yeah, can somebody hit Bob, can you hit the lights? I personally think it's a very good budget to work with for next year. You know, we're still in this pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic. There's still a lot of uncertainty. You know, there's been some upticks, there's been some little spikes. You're seeing that around New York and other areas. So it's still very much on everybody's minds. The health and safety. We're dealing with that, and there's so many uncertainties going forward. We don't know what the future is going to look like, but I can tell you that from a spending perspective for the town of Carmel, this is a very good budget. We took very good care in making sure that there was no additional fluff spending, if you will, in this budget. There's not. There really isn't. So we were very careful with that, and very mindful of the taxpayers, and those who may have lost their jobs, the hardships that people are dealing with, the stress that's associated with the pandemic. All of that, we really needed to come out with a very good, responsible working budget. And I think by, the townwide spending going down from year to year, almost $500,000, 3.75 decrease in spending, I think that's a good sign that we hear you and we're being responsible for you, the taxpayers. So now it goes to the town board, and they work on it now until it's adopted on November 20th. So as I said earlier, some changes could be made, further changes to it, but I don't think there's going to be many changes made to it, if there's any made at all. So thank you all for being here. I know that there's another topic that you're here for, but I want to thank you for being here for this, because this is important, with all of you being taxpayers. That, we presented it this way, and I hope we covered everything as best we could for the time being. And as changes are made going forward, we'll let the public know that also. We'll let the taxpayers know if there's any further changes that are going to be made. So with that, board, do you have any questions or comments for Mary Ann or myself right now? No?
No.
Okay. All right. So we have work to do, and we'll be doing that. And you'll have an opportunity at the public hearing on November 4th if you want to weigh in on the spending for next year. So thank you all again for your indulgence. I appreciate it. And Mary Ann, as always, great job. Couldn't do it without you.
Kenny, just
And I know what she's going to say. Tomorrow she's going to say to me, why did you do that?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
you deserve a lot of credit, Mary Ann.
Yeah, thank you, Mary Ann.
Yeah, you watch our finances and the taxpayers' finances.
Kenny, just one point of information. With regard to the mortgage tax revenue, that's not just from people coming in and purchasing homes in the town of Carmel, which of course is a great location to relocate a family. It's also a great time to refinance, and I've seen a lot of refinance numbers right now are basically at 2.8, 2.9%. So if you do for a 30-year mortgage, so while there is a benefit to the town because of mortgage tax revenues that we share with the county and the state, et cetera, but it's also for an individual. It might be something, if you haven't thought about or looked at yet, definitely call your bank, and now is a great time to be looking at refinancing your property if you can, and if at a 15-year, it's even less than that. So while the town gets some revenues that'll be next year if you do it now, it's a great individual savings going forward as well. So that's where the mortgage tax revenue is, not just from purchases, but also from a lot of refinances that are happening.
Okay, great. Thanks for that, Frank. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, all right. Thanks again, Mary Ann. All right, appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to go on now. We have 10 resolutions that we're going to be voting on. They should go fairly quickly. So we're going to start with resolution number 1. It's a resolution making a reappointment to the Town of Carmel Board of Assessment Review. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read 1, please?
Sure. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby reappoints Daniel Pearsall to the Town of Carmel Board of Assessment Review for a term commencing retroactive to October 1st, 2020 and expiring September 30th, 2025. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Second by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote.
Councilman Shano?
Yes.
Councilman Borelli? Yes. Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes. Motion carried.
You
Thank
just
you.
wanted to keep us on our toes before. That's what that was all about. That was intentional on your part.
All right, next resolution, number 2, is a resolution authorizing deletions to the active list of the Mahopac Volunteer Fire Department. Councilman Lombardi, would you read 2?
Resolved the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the deletion of the following names from the active list of the Mahopac Volunteer Fire Department: Sean Mullins, Cameron Rice, and Mitchell Tenempagwe. I offer the resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Shannell. Roll call vote.
Councilman Shano?
Yes.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes. Motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 3, is a resolution authorizing filing of a semi-annual MS4 stormwater report. Councilman Borelli, would you read 3, please?
Whereas the town board has been presented with a draft semi-annual MS4 stormwater report prepared by the Town of Carmel Engineering Department. And now therefore be resolved that the town supervisor, Kenneth Schmidt, is hereby authorized to sign and file said report as drafted by town engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote.
Councilman Shano?
Yes.
Councilman Borelli?
Yep.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next resolution, number 4, is a resolution authorizing advertisement for bids for Carmel Water District Number 2 distribution system upgrades. Councilman Shannell, would you read 4, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of Carmel Water District Number 2, and pursuant to the request of Town of Carmel Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., hereby authorizes Town Clerk Ann Spofford to advise for bids for construction and performance of Carmel Water District Number 2 distribution system upgrades, and be it further resolved that the Town Engineer is to furnish detailed specifications for the above to the Town Clerk to be used in conjunction with the town's general bid conditions and specifications. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Shano?
Yes.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes. Motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 5, is a resolution rescinding water emergency pursuant to sections 151-22 of the Town Code of Town of Carmel. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read 5, please?
Yes. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as the Commissioners of the Water Districts of the Town of Carmel, and pursuant to Section 151-22 of the Code of the Town of Carmel, had previously determined that a water emergency existed within the Town of Carmel, specifically within Carmel Water Districts Number 7 and Number 12. And whereas pursuant to previous resolution, the Town Board has declared such water emergency and promulgated restrictions on the use of water for non-essential purposes within Carmel Water Districts Number 7 and Number 12. And whereas upon the advice of and consultation of Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., as well as the operators of the respective Carmel Water Districts, it is apparent that rescission of such water emergency declaration for certain water districts within the town of Carmel is now appropriate. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to Section 151-22A of the Town Code of the Town of Carmel, the Town Board acting as Commissioners of Carmel Water District Number 7 hereby rescinds the aforesaid declaration of water emergency with respect to Carmel Water District Number 7. And be it further resolved that pursuant to Section 151-22A of the Town Code of the Town of Carmel, the Town Board acting as Commissioners of Carmel Water District Number 12 hereby rescinds the aforesaid declaration of water emergency with respect to Carmel Water District Number 12. And be further resolved that the town clerk is directed to publish this resolution in the official newspapers of the town and to post said resolution in the official bulletin board of the town of Carmel. I offer this resolution as read.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilman Shannell. Roll call vote.
Councilman Shannell.
Yes.
Councilman Borelli.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 6, is a resolution accepting a proposal and authorizing entry into a contract for concrete repairs at Carmel Town Hall facility. That's R 2020-003. Councilman Lombardi, would you read that, please?
Resolved the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, upon the recommendation of Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., hereby authorizes acceptance of proposal and entry into contract for concrete repair at Carmel Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue, with John Astrologo of Mahopac, New York, at a cost not to exceed $26,000 in accordance with the proposal dated September 10, 2020. And be it further resolved that upon presentation of assurance certificates in form acceptable to Town Council, Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to execute any and all contract documentation to effect the authorization of the term authorized herein. And be it further resolved that Town Controller Mary Ann Maxwell is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget transfers or modifications required to fund the cost of this authorization. I offer the resolution as read.
Second?
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Shannell.
Yes.
Councilman Borelli.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 7, is a resolution declaring certain equipment obsolete and authorizing disposal of same. Councilman Borelli, would you read 7, please?
Resolved that upon the recommendation of Town of Carmel Police Department Interim Commanding Officer Lieutenant John R. Dearman, the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby declares the following police equipment to be obsolete and authorizes its disposal in accordance with town law, including but not limited to Town Law 64-2-A. I offer the remainder as pre-filed, and I offer this resolution as read.
Second?
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Shannell.
Yes.
Councilman Borelli.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Stepped out.
You stepped out.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried, four yeses. Okay, next resolution, number 8, is a resolution amending the 2020 user fee schedule. Councilman Shannell, would you read number 8, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby amends, effective immediately, the Town of Carmel user fee schedule for the fiscal year 2020 as follows. Police Department fingerprinting services per person, $100. Be it further resolved that the aforesaid amendment shall supersede and replace the prior or existing fingerprint fees charged under said user fee schedule. I offer this resolution as read.
Second?
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Shannell.
Yes.
Councilman Borelli.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 9, is a resolution authorizing entry into a user agreement with the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read 9, please?
Shall resolve that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, upon the request of Town of Carmel Police Department Interim Commanding Officer Lieutenant John R. Dearman, hereby authorizes entry into letter of agreement with the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services pursuant to New York Executive Law, Section 837-8-A, for fingerprint services and a fingerprint escrow account. In form is attached hereto and made a part hereof. And be further resolved that Lieutenant John R. Dearman is authorized to execute said letter of agreement on behalf of the Town of Carmel Police Department. And be further resolved, the Town Comptroller, Mary Ann Maxwell, is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget transfers or modifications required to fund the cost of this authorization. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote.
Councilman Shano.
Yes.
Councilman Borelli.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, the 10th and final resolution tonight is a resolution accepting a proposal for professional services, Police Department policy and procedures. Councilman Lombardi, would you read 10?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, upon the request of Town of Carmel Police Department Interim Commanding Officer John R. Dearman, hereby accepts the proposal of Daigle Law Firm, Plantsville, Connecticut, for the development and adoption of a revision policy and procedure manual for the Town of Carmel Police Department in accordance with New York State Governor's Executive Order 203 at a cost not to exceed $20,000. And resolve the Town Board of Town of Carmel, upon the request of Town of Carmel Police Department Interim Commander Officer Lieutenant John Dearman, hereby accepts the proposal of Power DMS, Inc., Orlando, Florida, for the development, installation, and maintenance of policy and procedures management software at an annual cost not to exceed $6,000. And be it further resolved that Lieutenant John R. Dearman is authorized to execute any and all documentation reasonably necessary to effectuate this authorization on the terms set forth herein. And be it further resolved that Town Controller Mary Ann Maxwell is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget transfers or modifications required to fund the cost of this authorization. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Shano.
Yes.
Councilman Borelli. Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. This is part of the Governor's reform and reinvention of police policies, procedures, and this expenditure here tonight is directly connected to that. We have to do it. Okay, that completes the Town Board voting meeting agenda for tonight. Is there any members of the public that would like to come up and speak on the agenda items that we just covered tonight? Come on up to the podium now. State your name. Okay, there being none, I know we do have some folks here for the new business open forum portion of the meeting that would like to come up and address the board. Come on up at this time and just state your name and please address the board, Bill.
I'm just going to pass these out to all of you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks.
Are you able to hear me through my mask?
Yeah.
Is
Yes.
this okay? All right. State my name. My name is William Hines, 63 Highland View Road, Mayapack. And I want to first off thank the board for giving me an opportunity to come and speak to you tonight. I am the president of the Mayapack Hills Homeowners Association, and I'm speaking to you tonight on behalf of the residents who reside in the Mayapack Hills area. And I want to thank pretty much most of your crowd tonight are part of those residents that live in the Mayapack Hills area. On September 23rd, 2020, a decision was made by the Carmel Town Board to change the traffic flow on Rockledge Place from a two-way pattern to a one-way downhill pattern from Sycamore Terrace to Westlake Boulevard. This decision was made without proper research and input to address all safety issues and complications that this creates for the Mayapack Hills area residents and traffic. 2 days later, on September 25th, I was apprised of this motion and the decision by the Carmel Town Board via a Carmel highway worker who was finishing up the grass planting along our newly paved roads in our neighborhood. Well, I immediately called and spoke to both the town supervisor and the town highway superintendent and relayed my displeasure and that I would like to have this revisited at a future town board meeting. And again, I thank you for letting me speak on this. I have to say, in a positive light, that we're extremely satisfied with the recent road repaving project. Some of us have waited 20-plus years for this to come to fruition. The issue that the town now comes in and declares Rockledge Place to be a one-way without our input was something that just, it was beside us. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to at least give you a good picture of it, because I did go back to the video of that town meeting, and I really, if you listen to that, Mr. Simone's remarks, you really can't hear it on the microphone, so I would suggest in the future that we make sure that you can hear who's ever speaking on this microphone here. Supervisor Schmidt, I heard all of your comments, and I appreciate your comments. The one thing that came up in this whole thing is that there are these small notices that come in a local paper. I think that it's something of this gravity that will affect a homeowners association, 123 people, 123 properties, or the other 12 homeowner associations in Carmel and Mahopac. I think we need to find some way to communicate and reach out for something that's going to substantially affect that particular neighborhood. So in saying that, I'd like you, I passed out this booklet for you. If you could all open it up, and behind, on the right-hand side, behind the letter, you're going to see I have a whole illustrations and photos. So what I'd like to do is just kind of run you through this. If you look on page 1, these are the 10 roads that service the Mahopac Hills area. So it's really off of Westlake Boulevard. We really don't get through traffic in that area. So now turn to page 2. Now, the proposal that you made a motion on was to make Rockledge Place a one-way downhill to Westlake Boulevard from Sycamore Terrace. So in looking at this now, if you look at our routes to get into our neighborhood, it was Vista Terrace and Rockledge Place. Those were our two main arteries to get into our neighborhood. Now, since you turned Rockledge Place into a one-way downhill, now what you want to do is the other option. You now want to have cars enter into the neighborhood via Vista Terrace 1, and secondly, via Sycamore Terrace off of Westlake Boulevard, proceed on Sycamore Terrace to the top of a hill and make a left-hand turn onto Rockledge Place, which will then give you access to Vista Terrace and the rest of the neighborhood. So on paper, on this illustration, boy, it looks pretty good, doesn't it? Well, we're deeply concerned about this change for several reasons, for safety and access. We feel that we went, the decision was made, you made it actually a more unsafe access into our neighborhood. Traffic flow in the neighborhood, if you turn to page 4 now, traffic flow into the neighborhood will be changed. An increase now in both flow and speed on both Vista Terrace and Sycamore Terrace, which will now actually make what we have here as a traffic loop. We're going to have one busy traffic loop between Vista and Sycamore Terrace. So now there's going to be limited access into and out of the neighborhood should a storm damage or block a road. Traffic coming downhill on Rockledge Place will now move to the left at the bottom of Rockledge Place, which will severely limit a left-hand turn visibility onto Westlake Boulevard. Now there's a hill on Sycamore Terrace on the other side at Rockledge intersection, which is severe. The cars have a tendency to either roll back or jerk up the hill after coming to a stop before they even proceed to maneuver a tight left-hand turn. Can you imagine now trucks now will have to manage a sharp uphill and downhill turn? That hill on Sycamore Terrace is treacherous in any kind of inclement weather. And now that we have fall, and if you have a rainy day in the fall with the leaves, that's when we have a lot of people getting in trouble there. So now we have already garbage trucks, which now they said because their pickup forks are on one side of their truck, they're going to have issues. Delivery trucks, oil trucks, mail carriers, they will all have difficulty servicing houses on Rockledge Place and Forest Drive. Sycamore Terrace is a quiet back street, which now we want to make into a thoroughfare. It's not designed to be a straight main thoroughfare entrance to the rest of the neighborhood streets. As you can see on the map, it doesn't give you that full access into the neighborhood. So The town highway superintendent, I had a conversation with him, and he relayed his concerns to me. He says that Rockledge Place is narrow. He says there's limited visibility at the intersection of Rockledge Place and Westlake Boulevard, and they warrant that the roads must be a minimum of 15 feet in width. So I went out and I surveyed the results. So now if you start going over to page 5, Rockledge Place has a compliant width of 15 feet with the exception of a 91-foot stretch from the last driveway down to the stop sign at Westlake Boulevard. This is due to the presence of a storm drain and the creation of a 24-inch wide French drain. If you turn to page 6, we could follow along so you get a good idea of coming up from Westlake Boulevard. So the road width, there is one section of Rockledge which measures 14 feet 9 inches due to a new curb put in. The visibility on Rockledge is not a factor looking up and down Rockledge Place. Visibility at the intersection of Rockledge Place and Westlake Boulevard is an issue due to the curvature of Westlake Boulevard. We have petitioned the town in the past to paint dividing lines at the intersection to keep cars to the right. This gives drivers better visibility. And the visibility at the entrance onto Sycamore Terrace at Westlake Boulevard is limited. Additionally, this intersection requires a tight turn. So now, going through, look at page 7, where I'm giving you an illustration of that French drain and storm drain. And I'm also giving you a picture of that storm drain. So it's 14 feet in width there. And even if we took a look at that and we said, okay, do we need a 24-inch wide storm French drain there? Do we need that? So I know that that's been an area, it was just like that when they repaved it. It really was not, it was not recontoured with the width of a storm drain there. That was the width prior to our roads getting repaved. So, turning over now, let's look at Sycamore Terrace, where you want us to now use a main thoroughfare into our neighborhood. Sycamore, look at page 9. Sycamore Terrace now narrows down to 13 feet before and after a 90-degree bend in the road. The 13-foot width extends for 145 feet around this 90-degree bend. This is a limited visibility and narrow spot that would become a safety concern with traffic. So let's go to page 10 so you get an idea what that looks like. I'm showing you now the entrance from Westlake Boulevard onto Sycamore Terrace, coming from both ends of Sycamore Terrace, both ends of Westlake Boulevard, I'm sorry. Next page, on page 11, as we turn onto Sycamore Terrace, the road narrows. You have 3 driveways right in this opening portion of Sycamore Terrace. You're coming up, next picture, I came up to the 60 feet before the turn, the 90-degree turn. And now page 13 is looking at it from the other direction, the turn where it's 85 feet with a French drain and 13-foot width there. Page 14, just take a look. That's actually if people come down Sycamore out to Westlake Boulevard, this is what they're going to encounter. They're going to encounter limited visibility coming out of Sycamore Terrace. So now, the angle of the hill on Sycamore Terrace on the other edge by Rockledge Place, please turn to page 15. Okay, so now you see this measures approximately 35 degrees, making this intersection a safety concern. So as we look at this, turn to page 16 and you'll see if you look down Sycamore Terrace, it's really not designed as a main thoroughfare into the neighborhood. For those of you who've traveled in our neighborhood and know Vista Terrace, you know it's at least 30% wider than this road. So now, a concerning factor is that the town highway supervisor did not make any mention to me that he was thinking about this traffic flow change in any of the several conversations that I had with him throughout the whole road repaving process this summer. This change was made by decision makers who do not know the flow and nature of the neighborhood. And this is one of the few neighborhoods in Mahopac where people and children walk, play, ride bicycles and skateboards in the streets. Others come in to walk and run in our quiet streets. So I respectfully submit to each of you this packet containing an attached petition signed by 96 of our residents. I made copies to you. I have the original here if you'd like me to submit this to you. I also have a packet of emails in the packet I gave you. Okay? Over 24 emails on that. And also now you have these illustrations and photos, which I am going to submit to you. So we the Mahopac Hills area residents strongly request that a decision to create this one-way traffic pattern be overturned and that the original two-way traffic pattern on Rockledge Place be reinstated. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Bill, may I call you Bill?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, may I call you Bill?
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely,
sure.
yeah.
Okay. You said you had watched the meeting, correct?
I did, yes.
Okay. So I know that Kenny had mentioned in discussions that he and I had previously that some residents had contacted him to discuss this before the public hearing, but that night no one was here. And one of the questions that I had for the highway superintendent was the questioning that Kenny had received by some residents, whether or not it should be one way, the opposite way, or some safety concerns. And this wasn't a decision that the town board made because we just go around looking at different streets and decide to turn them one way. It was a recommendation made by the highway department to the town board for the safety of the residents in the neighborhood that we should do this. So I don't know if you had heard the response from the highway superintendent that evening. I know you said you might not have been able to hear it, but it was the recommendation made by the highway department that we do it this way. So again, it wasn't anything of we just decided.
No, yeah, and you know something, I'm not here. I'm here 33 years now in Mahopac. I can't think of any other place I'd want to live and raise my family. And now I have a grandchild now, so I'm going to hopefully the grandchild will enjoy the lake also. But what we just want to make sure that there's communication. And it's interesting because I'm sitting here and listening to the discussion that you had on the changing the parking from the restaurants.
Right.
And maybe then there's something else coming up on Mud Pond. That you don't want to have parking near Mud Pond. What I'm looking at is that if we can fine-tune the communication process, homeowners associations, they're a great resource. Chamber of Commerce, great resource, because unfortunately, not everyone's going to look at that little public notice in a paper somewhere. So, it's kind of shame on me because I didn't see it, but, we're trying to see if we can fix right or wrong in our neighborhood. And that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any, mea culpa on your part for seeing or not seeing it. And I think perhaps, we have notifications for when there's a property in front of a planning board or a zoning board, and perhaps maybe that's something that we can do. But we have followed the public notice requirements for that. So, and I know that Kenny had said that he had received several phone calls from the residents there with regard to this issue ahead of time. And I was just a little surprised that night that no one was actually here speaking against it. Right. When he had received some phone calls from people saying he thought that they were going to show up. They told him that, they were coming and nobody came. So we had the discussion with the highway superintendent, and based upon the recommendation that he made and the questions that we asked of him, that's why we proceeded in the manner that we did.
And I totally understand that. And again, like I said, I think that when there's something that affects a group of properties, I think that maybe there has to be a way that we can take that extra step to try to get that information out. As president of a homeowners association, I would love to get that because, as you can see, I will be here and I'll have a discussion with you.
Sure.
And not only that, but throughout the years, we've worked well together.
Yeah.
So if there's anything we can do to help you in that communication process, we will. As you see here, these are all residents from that community. So if we got that information out and if it got to us, we could have helped them. We could have helped, make a good decision. Okay, but we really feel that the decision went from a situation where we really haven't had any significant issues to now putting us in a potentially dangerous spot.
Bill, let me ask you something. So what do you want to see done here? You want to-
Just like I said, my recommendation, and the recommendation that I got from all of the residents, is to let's reinstate the two-way Rockledge, just the way it was originally. We don't need to make that a one-way, and just reinstate the roads as they originally were before your decision.
All right, so let me just say this. The highway superintendent certainly knows the roads in the town of Carmel. He's been the highway superintendent for many years. He's familiar with every single road that's traveled in this town. So I do respect his opinion. But you know whose opinion I really hold to a high regard? You folks. You live in that neighborhood. You drive on those roads almost every single day. Who knows your roads better than you do? You folks that live there. All right, so I really wish that your voice would have been here a couple of weeks ago. It would have definitely helped this town board make a decision. But unfortunately, you're right. There was a communication issue, and perhaps maybe we could have done a better job, or even I personally could have done a better job in reaching out to folks that did reach out to me, that I did spoke with about this issue. So, with that said, if the neighborhood wants this changed, all right, if you feel strongly about it, and it sounds like you do feel very strongly about it, you did a great job putting this together, by the way, Bill, and whoever helped you with it, great job.
A lot of help, right here. These are the people that went around and got the signatures from me.
So you articulated that very well, and your rationale for that it shouldn't be a one-way, all right? So I, for one, and I'm only one of five, but I, for one, would be in favor of rescinding the amendment to the V&T code and changing it back to the way it was, as a two-way street on Rockledge Road. But remember, I'm only one person. I'm one voice. But because you spoke very articulately and you laid it out the way you did here, and now we heard you and I heard you, and I would be in favor of rescinding that and changing it back. So, again, I'm one of five.
Appreciate that. And I just want to say in closing, I have high regard for Mike Simone and over the years. And this is something that affects the whole neighborhood, and that's why we feel very strongly about it. And again, I want to say thank you for getting those roads repaved finally. And I'm looking at just one thing, if there's any technicality, I'm not sure if this falls into it, but with the municipal home rule, was there anything submitted yet as far as making this making a change on this? Because it has to be filed to the Office of Secretary of State, is that correct?
Yeah.
My understanding is it's been filed. Is that correct? So if the board were to take any adverse action with respect to the law, partially because it had multiple components,
Right.
you'd have to have another public hearing for a partial repeal or an amendment or whatever the case may be that you were considering.
Yeah, I'll defer to you. All I'm saying is that if we did have that 20-day window, from the decision for when you did it. So that's why I figured I wanted to get here as soon as I could to see if we could at least,
Greg, you mentioned this afternoon that you could possibly be rescinded.
Being that it's been filed in the Office of the State, in the Office of the Department of State, you would need to have a public hearing because you're now taking an action, either amending or repealing a portion of a law that you've enacted and has been become part of your code. So you'd have to have a public hearing just like when you enacted it.
Okay.
And that has multiple components. That had the mud pond provision in it correctly, correct? Mud ponds, no parking on the west side, so you'd have to schedule a public hearing, which you could do if the board's inclined to consider anything along those lines.
Sorry, Greg. You had mentioned that you had spoke to Mike about it after the fact. What transpired with that conversation? I mean, did you understand the points that he was making with regard to?
Yes. Mike and I had a very civil conversation.
No, and of course, listen, I'm not.
And he mapped out
otherwise.
exactly what it was. He was concerned about that one width. There's a rock wall on one of the neighbor's property. He didn't want to bust up the wall. I totally understand that. And we're just looking at that 91-foot stretch, and it's interesting. There's two things we can do. One is that we can make that French drain, bring it in. You could bring it in maybe another 10, 12 inches to give you some room if you could. Or what we'll do is I'm just looking at the possibility of maybe just I don't know if we can do the pipe again, you know, Mike? I don't know if that's going to be a possibility, which is not. So that's what I'm saying. We do have a little play there. But for the potential of us not having a route in and out of our neighborhood, you know, we had a storm 3-4 weeks ago, and that's when we had a big tree come down. So now we had to use Vista. You had to see the increased traffic on Vista. People were trying to get up Sycamore, which actually we did have some trees down on Sycamore. So we're really kind of losing our options to even get in and out of the neighborhood. You know, God forbid something does happen.
Right.
So, you know, so this is what we're looking at. So we have people in this audience that have been in this neighborhood for 40 years. We have second, third generations here. And we really haven't had any complaints come across the association about it. So that's why I was a little concerned about how it all of a sudden this came to be without us even hearing about it. You know, that's all.
Yeah.
But I thank you for your time.
Yeah, Bill, I want to congratulate you on being a grandpa. That's
you.
number one.
Getting older.
But number two, you just showed the importance of people have to get involved, okay? Every week it's on the computer. It's in, you know, any public hearings are in the papers. People have to start paying attention. You see, tonight we had the budget hearing. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't have anybody. You know, people have to get involved. It's not, I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's not realistic for everything that's on our agendas every week to get a hold of somebody that it's going to affect. Because God forbid we miss somebody one time where, you know, like, I mean, I can't believe you're playing favoritism. You know, so I really applaud, you know, to the town of Carmel residents, get involved, read the paper, you know, look at the thing. Even if it's just one person in the neighborhood, call you. You know what I'm saying? But I'm really glad you came tonight.
Thank you.
You know, there's a lot of great information here. So I know my girlfriend lives up there, so I go up there quite often.
Right, yeah.
But no, I appreciate, again, you know, like I said, I just wish the public would actually come to the meeting. So I thank you guys for coming and gals for coming, because it's great.
Quick note, I did take a ride up there today, and I noticed that, look, to me, what the problem looked like was that rock wall and the culvert. I don't know if there's any way that they could put the culvert underneath the surface to just widen that road a little bit more? Because there was some trucks that it was kind of tough getting through.
Yeah, and just remember, not only that, but what you now have is, you know, looking at the highway department, and they repaved the roads, we understand that, but you have, you know, you have your delivery trucks, you have your garbage trucks coming through there, and then what you want to do is, the other alternative is to go Sycamore Terrace,
Right,
which is, it's really a worse option.
right. It's very tight. The roads
know.
are very tight.
Yeah, it'll change the whole fabric of our neighborhood, to tell you the truth. You know, it really will. And for those of you who know the Mahopac Hills neighborhood, you know,
Very
one
nice.
time, anytime, maybe you'll see one or two cars after 9 o'clock. That's it. You know, until lunchtime. So.
Well, maybe we can
but
do
I thank
something
you
with
for
that
your time.
culvert,
I
but
really
thank
do.
you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the Mahopac Hills Association that wants to speak? If not, I'm going to ask Mike Simone, he's the highway superintendent. Mike, do you want to comment on anything tonight? Just turn the mic on, yeah.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to apologize for not getting out there. We started this back in, I believe, July. And I'm going to say it was a COVID era kind of thing, but it did take us, we usually do our V&Ts in August, and probably would have been more talk between then, but this did not come up to the 23rd. So I do want to apologize for not getting it out there to you. I am meeting with the homeowners this weekend down at the beach. Again, I want to hear what they have to say. I do have very much concerns. I think my engineering is a little different than Bill's, and this is what we're going to compare. I have almost 300 feet of 14 feet in width. I also have I want to show them that local highway inventory, DOT from 2018. And one of the things, let me just read here, and this is what I'll bring with it, just to give you again, I'm not trying to do this because it looks good or I'm trying to make everybody safe. But they say in this, the minimum width to consider the two-lane road is 16 feet. The reason being there is you have two 8-foot lanes that you can have cars and vehicles pass on. At 14 feet, as we've discussed, we're going to have somebody have to back up. I mean, there's no way. If you got a bus and a car, somebody's going to back up. If you got a garbage truck and a car, somebody's going to back up. If you got an oil truck, somebody's going to back up. The character of that road, and I wasn't going to change it at all, matter of fact, and I did add some drains. I would have loved to add more. But having a road that was 14 feet wide with 2 stone walls on either side and well-maintained properties, I wasn't going to touch them. Unfortunately, we had the water main put right along that same ditch where I could have possibly buried a pipe. I can't get in there now because I don't have enough room to bury a pipe with the water main going there. I would love to discuss, if we can come up with some ideas. I will tell you that in that ditch, and I have been there extensively in the last year and a half, and you guys have all seen me, between the water projects, the drainage project we put in, and the paving. But in that ditch that we're talking about, and I have discussed this with Mr. DeFusco, he called me up, he says, I got car parts. People are going into this ditch and losing car parts. For the safety of the traveling public, I was trying to make this safer. That's all I was about. I'd love to meet with you. We're going to meet this weekend. Hopefully we'll come up with a decision. If we have to rescind, come up with some ideas. I'm open to anything. Again,
Yeah,
but that 14 foot is a killer.
No, and please don't misunderstand anything that I had said earlier. Was all my questions to you last week was about
All safety.
safety.
It's all
Was
safety.
about safety, and that's what was, if you were able to hear at the meeting, that's what we talked about. And of course, it's our job, if there's a road that's not safe, to do what we can to make it safe. So I'm going to ask that before we, make a motion for a public hearing or whatever, please meet together. I'll be more than happy if you tell me the time. I can meet there with you. Obviously, I know the area very well, but, work it out amongst yourselves in terms of what you want us to do in terms of the safety implications for that road. And if it feels like you want us to rescind it, we can do that very easily. But, please understand the highway superintendent's point of view of the safety, and also then Mike understand the character of the neighborhood, which you know much better than I do. But, let's work together on this and come up with a solution to this. But right now, we don't have to take any action, Bill. You understand, right? We can, you guys are meeting on Saturday.
We haven't moved forward with any kind of signage or anything. So
Right. So therefore, we have, hopefully by next week, you come up with a solution. Mike, you could send us an email, Bill, same thing, or call us, and then we can figure out how we want to move forward with it. Is that okay, Bill?
Sure, and you're invited Saturday also, if you want to come down.
What time?
We have a 10 o'clock membership meeting. If you want to meet at around 12, we could walk the neighborhood if you'd like.
That's fine. 12?
We'll definitely.
Email me or let me know. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
More than happy to do so.
You need me there too, Bill?
If you'd like.
All right.
You're all welcome.
Well, we can't all,
You're, okay, all right. You can't have
He's
more than
saying
two.
yes, yes.
You can't have more than 2 town board members.
Sure, but if it was the clam bake, I'd have all of you.
those I pay for.
Hope it's coming back next year.
Yeah, you know what, why don't we do this? Let me touch base with Mike, we'll get a game plan on Saturday, and then we'll take it from there. How's that?
Let Kenny know, and then he could let me know, and we can, 2 of us will be there.
I can be there.
Okay.
And I'm sure we can work it out, so it's great for the residents.
All right.
Thank you
We'll figure
again.
something out.
Oh, Kenny,
Supervisor Schmidt, just
Yeah.
a brief comment.
You want
Yeah,
to
sure.
speak to the mic?
Yeah.
Good evening, and thank you for taking the time to discuss this with us. John Roberts from Vista Terrace South. My house overlooks Rockledge, and my driveway empties out onto Rockledge. So, and I sit on my deck looking at it and have lived there for almost 40 years. So it's a situation that has not been a problem of great note. Maybe there's been an issue here and there, but I don't often see cars backing up. Maybe I don't remember ever seeing it. Trucks obviously can be a problem because some of them are large. But I wanted to bring one small detail to your attention, and that is my house is on the north side of Vista, and my rock wall is on the sort of the belly of that curve there. And I don't remember exactly when this was, but sometime in the last 4 months, the highway department removed a 30-inch tree that was halfway in the wall and halfway in the road. So by virtue of that action, the road is somewhere close to a foot or a little more wider than it was. And that tree had a few marks on it, so it's apparent that a car or a truck on occasion did hit it. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. They're not really a problem that we're aware of, and I guess there are probably records about accidents and that sort of thing that could be checked, and a situation that's actually already been made better. So thank you very much.
John, are you gonna be there on Saturday?
I do plan to.
So
be
you
there.
can point it out to,
Sure.
yeah, that's fine.
Well, there's no tree there. So.
No, but you can point out where the tree was.
Where the tree was.
And I understand.
And that it's wider, where the tree was.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't measured it, but I think Bill did measure it there.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak? Come on up at this time. You're welcome to comment on this. Okay. All right, Bill, thanks for being here. All the residents of Mahopac Hills, I used to call it Vista Terrace, but I guess it's now Mahopac Hills,
Yeah.
which is nice, but it's still Vista Terrace to me. Yeah. So thank you for being here. Hopefully we're going to come up with a solution to this. All right, and I appreciate the fact that you're meeting, and Mike Simone, your highway superintendent, is going to be there on Saturday. I'll be there, and Frank will be there also, and we'll put our heads together and see what we can come up with. But we'll work together to come up with a solution. How's that?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much. Thanks for being here, everybody. Have a great night. Okay, so there's no one else here for new business open forum, right? That's it? Okay. We just have a couple of announcements to make.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Susie, this is recreation.
Of course.
All right.
So the Town of Carmel Recreation and Parks Department presents a drive-in movie night, Beetlejuice, Friday, October 16th at 7 p.m. Pack your family in the car and meet us at Camarda Park for a drive-in movie night. The capacity is limited and reservations must be made online. It's a free event for Town of Carmel residents. It does fill up quickly, and registration starts Friday, October 9th at 9 a.m. I heard the last one sold out, even though it's free, in 2 minutes. So, yep, the drive-in movies. So, again, it's Beetlejuice, Friday, October 16th at Camarda Park. Starting at 9 a.m., you can start calling the Recreation Department to get your spot. And then, Kenny, did you want me just to talk about the work,
Yeah, you may
the
as
survey
well,
again? And just quickly, is what I was saying before, we would love to have the residents in the Town of Carmel. We are working on the comprehensive master plan. A survey is now live, and we're hoping to get a large percentage of people in the Town of Carmel to do the survey. If you have multiple people in your house, everybody in your household can take it. It's not just one person per household. The information you can get on our town website. We're also going to have 2 work sessions, in-person work sessions. They are limited because we are adhering to the safety guidelines because of COVID. So you do need to register for them, but it's on October 29th. We have one, I believe it's at 1:30 at Sycamore Park, and the other one is that evening, October 29th, here in Town Hall. So again, that is an in-person work session. Please wear a mask when you come in. Everything is going to be social distance. There's going to be, I believe, 7 different workstations. We really want to hear your input of what the Town of Carmel, what you want to see for the next 20 years. So it's very important. This is your time to come forward, to do the survey, come in person with the work session. So please don't forget, do the survey. Hopefully, everybody up here did their survey.
Yeah.
And it takes, it is a little bit, we
long.
did cut
It's
it
long,
down.
yeah.
It used to be a lot longer, we did cut it down, but we wanted to make sure that we got enough information in it where we can make a great master plan. That's why, I think it takes about 13 to 15 minutes to take. It is easy to take, and we do have pictures included. So, there is some visual effects that you get to vote on as well.
Great.
All right,
Thanks, Sue.
grab a thing of popcorn and get it.
And
Beetlejuice.
the Beetlejuice movie
Yeah.
at Camarda Park, it's sold out like that. So if you
It's already sold out?
No.
No, the last one sold-
did.
it sold
The
out
last
in
one's
2 minutes.
Sold out in 2 minutes. So
Yep.
So you really need to be going. You need
I'm
to,
speed dialing.
Yeah. You got to be ready at 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock, right?
9, should I say 10? No, it's at 9.
9
a.m.
o'clock to call and register for that because
Yes.
it's only 45 cars.
Yeah,
Camarda Park, so it's going to sell out quick. So
Yep.
let's give the people who didn't make the last movie, let's give them an opportunity to go to this movie. So if you
Right.
went to the first movie,
yeah.
allow your neighbors to go
Yeah.
bring their children.
And I
to
do
the-
think they're going to have another one as well, closer
Yeah.
to Halloween.
Closer to Halloween, yeah, I think so.
Beetlejuice.
All right, thanks, Sue.
So, thank you.
Bob, do you want to do those real quick?
Yes, just want to reiterate what Supervisor Schmidt said at the last meeting. We have two events going on Saturday, October 24th. They could be located at our Carmel website, www.carmelnewyork.org. It's going to be the shredded event and the e-waste drop-off day. So the shredded event will be hosted on Saturday, October 24th. Location, Michael Geary, Inline Memorial Rink, parking lot. That's on Route 6 across from the Pack Fire Department. Time will be 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Maximum allowance, 3 file boxes per car. Don't worry about removing staples, paper clips, even file folders with metal strips. You can witness the entire shred process on a monitor at the side of the shredding truck. No plastics, CDs, DVDs, X-rays, hard drives, 3-ring binders, binder clips, etc. Only paper. And this is Town of Carmel residents must provide proof of residency. The same thing for the e-waste drop-off day will be the same time, same place, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Items for recycling, and there's a list on the website, anywhere from portable laptop computers, monitors, servers, copiers, modems, and such. Same again, proof of residency will be required. And you can find more information on the town website, www.carmelnewyork.org, or call the Recreation Department or Supervisor's Office. Thank you.
All right, Bob, I just want to piggyback on the e-waste day real quick. I did get a call the other day from a senior citizen that has an old flat screen TV that doesn't work. She has no way of getting it to the e-waste collection day. So I told Ann that I would go pick it up for her. So I'm going to pick it up on that day. If there's any other seniors, and I'm probably going to regret saying this, but if there's any other seniors that truly can't get to the e-waste collection day on October 24th, and you truly can't get the electronic item that you want to dispose of in your car by yourself, call my office, 628-1470, and I'll get it picked up for you, and I'll bring it to the e-waste collection day for you. But you really have to be a senior, and you're really not capable of doing it yourself. All right? If that's true, I'll help you out, and I'll come to your house and pick it up for you for that date. All right? You can call my office, 628-1470. Explain to them that you heard Supervisor Schmidt announcing that he'd pick up e-waste if we're not capable of doing it ourselves. I'll do that for you, all right?
Just remember, you're not as young as you used to be.
Be
That's
careful
true.
with your back.
with the.
Why do you want to do it?
I'll be more than happy to do it.
You might need to.
Councilman
Some
Councilman
of those
Shannon-
TVs are 100 pounds. those
Councilman
old
Shannon and I
plasmas.
are younger. We'll
That's it.
go take care of it. He's got a truck.
I think
we'll
I'm
go
still
do it.
pretty capable.
No, you are. But I just, you're a little older than us, and we just wanted to make
All right,
sure
well,
you're
how about
okay.
you help me that day?
I'll be more than happy. You
Okay.
tell me when and where, we'll
All
go.
right, and I'm not looking for votes, folks, all right? I'm not doing this because I need you to vote for me next year. All right, I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do, and it's the nice thing to do for our seniors.
There's a lot of stuff out
I just
there.
want to say that. Okay, thanks, Bob. Frank?
So, two things. Number one, this coming Monday, October 12th, in observation of Columbus Day, Town Hall will be closed. And number two, I just wanted to point out,
Go ahead.
Oh, just wanted to point out in the center of the Mahopac News is a story with regard to the wonderful event that we had here in town for United for the Troops. We helped them raise a significant amount of supplies and money, and I want to thank them for asking us to help them with it. Kenny was there in the middle of the road.
My feet were killing
His
me.
feet, yeah, he was supposed to come out with us afterwards,
Did pretty
and
good, though.
he begged off. Got to wear better shoes next time. That's why I was concerned about you picking up electric equipment,
Yeah.
because you were so spent after that day.
I was spent, yeah.
So anyway, it was a great event. I know that Jim Rashsmith and United for the Troops were very appreciative of all the residents who drove by, stopped by, brought materials, and it obviously goes to one of the great causes that are in our town. So thank you for that, and you can see it in the paper. And thanks to the Mahopac News for publicizing it ahead of time and coming on the day to cover it.
Great, good story. Thanks, Frank. Mike?
From the Putnam County Department of Health, free rabies vaccine clinic. Saturday, November 7th, 10 to 12 p.m. at Veterans Memorial Park, 201 Gypsy Trail Road in Carmel, the Upper Park. Bring your pets, dogs, cats, and ferrets for a free rabies vaccination. Dogs must be leashed.
Ferrets can have rabies?
Yeah?
Cats
I
and
didn't know
ferrets must be in carriers, no harnesses, and all animals must be supervised by an adult. Do not send your dog by himself. Items to bring: photo ID as proof of Putnam County
How would he
residency.
get home?
Proof of prior rabies. Vaccination tags are not acceptable. If you do not have proof of prior rabies vaccination, your pet will receive a one-year rabies vaccination only. COVID-19 guidance must be followed. If anybody's had any questions, call the Putnam County Department of Health, 808-1390, extension 43160. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. And
Does that really say that? Don't send your dog by himself?
Well, it says all animals must be supervised.
Yeah, so how, okay.
So, you can't stay in the car and just tell the dog to go up there. You've got to
No,
take the dog with you.
I would concur. I'm glad it was pointed out.
okay, I have one final announcement. This is very important if you live in a water district. So if you have a water meter and you're on municipal water, and you know you're on municipal water because you have a water meter, all right, this is for you. To all Town of Carmel residents and business owners that are serviced by municipal water district that has a meter, please be advised that the town is in the final stages of the water meter replacement program with our contractor, National Metering Service. Starting in October, National Metering Service will only be available for a few more weeks to replace the remaining meters as their contract with the town is set to expire. National Meter Service will be forwarding final reminder letters, which will be provided with a phone number and a site-specific PIN number in order to set up the meter replacement appointment. Please note that the town will be instituting a service charge. It's going to cost you more if you don't do it now, for those customers whom decline the remote communication reading feature or those who have not had their old meters replaced with the new water meter. If you do not receive a letter, call the Town of Carmel Engineering Department at 628-1500, extension 184, to set up an appointment for National Meter Service to come out and install your meter. So this is important, folks, because if National Meter Service doesn't install your new meter and it's installed at a later date after they leave town and they've completed their project, there's going to be a service charge to you, and I'm hearing that it might be in the $200 range to have your new meter installed. So if you have it installed now, there's no charge to you. If you wait too late, there's going to be a service charge of upwards of $200 to have your new meter installed. Nobody wants to do that. The town doesn't want to charge anybody any more money than you're already paying. But please, if you know you haven't had your meter installed yet, look for the letter in the mail. It'll have the phone number and the PIN number for you to call. Everybody's going to be getting it. who hasn't had their meter installed, or simply call the engineering department tomorrow at 628-1500, extension 184. Speak to the engineering department, and they'll set up a date and an appointment for you to have your meter installed. So please don't wait on that. Let's get it done. There's about 300 or 400 people that I'm hearing hasn't had their new meters installed yet. And we need to get these all done, right? What the new meter does, it takes away your responsibility from reading your own meter. So these new meters, they send a signal out to the water department, and it has your meter reading as part of that signal. So you no longer have to go into your basement or crawl spaces to read your meter. These new meters do it for you. And it's accurate with the consumption of your water also. And if there's any leaks in your house, it detects running water as well.
Right.
So it sends a signal out that there's water running in your house. Like if your toilet bowl is running or your sink is dripping or running extensively where it's using a lot of water, this new system is very good, and it will send a notice out or an indication out that there's a problem in the house and that whatever is leaking or dripping, it has to be repaired. So it's going to save you money in the long run, but we need you to help with this program of getting these meters installed. So thank you, and hopefully the message got out there, and people will be calling and waiting for the letter as well. But if you don't get the letter and you know you need one, just call the engineering department tomorrow or anytime, and they'll help you out with that, all right? Thanks so much. So that's all I have. Does the board have anything else?
Nope.
No? Yeah, we do have a quick executive session tonight to discuss the 2021 tentative budget, personnel in that budget. So we do need to go into executive session to discuss that. So I need a motion.
So moved.
So moved by Councilman Lombardi, seconded by Councilman Shanaway and McDonough. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, good night, everyone. Be well.
Good
We're
night.
going to close the meeting from executive session. We'll be back here on October 14th for Town Board work session. Good night. Be well.
Good night.